Commander Vrakthor stood in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, his forearms crossed in what his species considered a posture of casual dominance. The chamber was mostly empty today. Only 17 species had bothered to send representatives. The Zekthar Dominion had that effect on council attendance lately. 3 star systems in 2 years. Most species found urgent business elsewhere when the Zekthar came to announce their victories. The holographic display showed the conquered territories in red. Vrakthor felt pride surge through his chest. His people had waited centuries for this moment. They had built their fleets in secret, trained their warriors in hidden facilities. And when they finally struck, the galaxy had been caught completely unprepared. The Dominion announces the full integration of the Pelvor system, Vrakthor declared, his translator rendering his hissing speech into the common tongue. Their resources now fuel our expansion. Their people now serve the greater purpose of Zekthar glory. Silence greeted his words. The few council members present shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Good. Let them fear what came next. An elderly human sat in the third row. Councillor Minjun. If Vrakthor remembered correctly. The human had been on the council for nearly 40 years. An eternity for such a short-lived species. Minjun cleared his throat softly. The council acknowledges the Dominion's report, Minjun said, his voice carefully neutral. Are there other matters to discuss? Vrakthor's mouthparts twisted into what might have been a smile. Indeed. The Dominion submits our expansion projections for council review, as required by galactic law. We didn't. He transmitted the data. Let them see. Let them know which systems would fall next. The Council's pathetic regulations meant nothing without the military force to back them up. And the Council had no military force. They had disbanded their peacekeeping fleets 200 years ago in some naive gesture of universal trust. Fools. The Council members reviewed the data in silence. Then something strange happened. Several of them looked at each other. Not in fear, as Vrakthor expected. In something else. Discomfort? Concern? Minjun spoke again, faster than before. Thank you for your report, Commander. The Council will review your projections and respond within the standard time frame. If there is no other business, I have a question, Vrakthor interrupted. About one particular system in our expansion path. Minjun's face went very still. Which system? Sol. The human home system. The chamber went absolutely silent. Vrakthor noticed that every single council member was now staring at Minjun. The old human's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Sol is not in your expansion path, Minjun said quietly. According to our projections, it lies directly between our current position and the resource-rich Kepler cluster. The most efficient route requires passage through your system. There are other routes, Minjun said. Less efficient routes. Commander Vrakthor, perhaps we could discuss this matter in a more private setting. I see no need for privacy, Vrakthor said. He was enjoying this now. The great humans, brought low by simple mathematics and military reality. My intelligence officers have compiled a report on your home system's defenses. Would the Council like to hear it? No one spoke. Minjun slowly sat back in his chair. His face showed no expression at all. But Vrakthor saw his jaw tighten. Earth maintains no orbital defense platforms, Vrakthor continued. No military fleet, no shield generators. Your most advanced weapons are primitive nuclear devices that would barely scratch our shields. You have mining colonies on your moon and Mars, scientific stations throughout your system, but nothing that could oppose even a single Dominion warship. That assessment is correct, Minjun said softly. Then you understand that if the Dominion chose to demand tribute from Sol, you would have no choice but to comply. The Dominion may do as it wishes, Minjun said. His voice was strange now. Sad, almost. The Council cannot stop you. Vrakthor felt a moment of confusion. This was too easy. The humans had a reputation as skilled diplomats, as bridge builders between hostile species. He had expected arguments, negotiations, appeals to galactic law. Instead, Minjun simply sat there with that strange, sad expression. Another council member, a crystalline being from Rigel, spoke up. "Commander, the Rigel Collective would be willing to provide the Dominion with detailed navigation charts for alternative routes to the Kepler cluster, at no cost. As would the Telos Union," added another voice. "The Centauri Alliance has access to even faster routes," said a third. Vrakthor's confusion grew. They were offering him alternatives? Offering their own resources to avoid Earth? Why? "Your offers are noted but unnecessary," he said. "The Dominion makes its own navigation decisions." Minjun stood slowly. "Then this session is concluded. Good journey, Commander Vrakthor." The human walked out. Others followed quickly. Within minutes, the chamber was empty, except for Vrakthor and his own advisors. His intelligence officer approached, holding a data tablet. "Commander, I have completed the analysis you requested. Report. I searched our historical databases for records of Earth military assessments. There are none. They are a peaceful species. This makes sense." "No, Commander, you misunderstand. Every major military power in galactic history maintains intelligence on potential threats and opportunities. We have assessment files on over 6,000 inhabited systems. Every aggressive species we studied has similar records. And Earth appears in none of them. The Krillian Empire conquered 400 worlds over 6 centuries. They have detailed military studies of every system they considered invading, except Earth. The Vex Collective, the Horde fleets, the Antares Dominators, all the same. Complete records of their conquests and plans, all with the same gap. What gap? Earth. No studies, no invasion plans, no assessment reports. It is as if they deliberately avoided even thinking about it. Vrakthor considered this. How many aggressive species have risen to power in the past 3,000 years? His officer checked the tablet. 247. Commander. And how many attempted to invade Earth? The officer scrolled through data. His face went pale, which was difficult for their species. "None, Commander. In 3,000 years of recorded galactic history, not a single aggressive power has attempted to invade Earth." "That cannot be correct. I have verified it 3 times. There are gaps in our historical records. Entire species that are mentioned in passing but have no detailed histories. Strange holes in the timeline. But one consistency remains. No one invades Earth." Vrakthor thought about Minjun's sad expression. The other species, offering alternative routes. The empty council chamber. They fear us, he decided. They know the Zekthar are different, more powerful. They couldn't stop previous threats, so they avoided them. They know they cannot stop us either. His officer looked uncertain. "Perhaps, Commander, prepare the fleet. We will make our passage through Sol System in 1 month. A simple passage, nothing more. We will show them that the Dominion goes where it pleases. As you command." That night, back in his quarters, Vrakthor couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the council chamber, about how quickly it had emptied, about the look on Minjun's face. Not fear, not quite. Something closer to pity. He pushed the thought away. The Zekthar Dominion bowed to no one. In 1 month, they would pass through Sol System, and the humans would see that their age of protection was over. A new power ruled the galaxy now. Outside his window, the stars glittered cold and distant, keeping their secrets. The Zekthar fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol System. 200 warships, each bristling with weapons that could crack a planet's crust. Commander Vrakthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the view screen with satisfaction. "All ships report successful transition," his communications officer announced. "Fleet formation, holding steady. Scan the system." Vrakthor ordered. "Look sign, Locate all military installations. The scanning officer worked in silence for several minutes. Expand your search parameters. I have, Commander. There are no defense satellites, no weapons platforms, no military vessels of any kind. The officer hesitated. There is substantial civilian traffic, mining operations in the asteroid belt. A colony on their moon with approximately 50,000 inhabitants. Research stations near several planets. But no military presence whatsoever. Also, Vrakthor felt a chill run through him despite the warmth of the bridge. This made no sense. Even peaceful species maintained basic defenses. Automated systems at minimum. But Earth had nothing. Open a channel to Earth, he commanded. All frequencies. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Commander. Vrakthor drew himself up to his full height. Attention, Earth. This is Commander Vrakthor of the Zekthar Dominion. A fleet of 200 warships now occupies your system. You will surrender immediately and submit to Dominion authority, or your worlds will be reduced to ash. You have 1 hour to respond. They waited. The bridge was silent, except for the soft hum of instruments. Then the communications officer laughed. Actually laughed. Before catching himself. Commander, I apologize. But Earth's response is unusual. Play it. A human voice came through the speakers, male and middle-aged. Zekthar Fleet. This is Sol Traffic Control. Welcome to our system. We're reading 200 large vessels on approach vector. Do you require navigational assistance? Our inner system is quite busy with commercial traffic, and we'd be happy to provide safe routing. Vrakthor's mouthparts opened and closed in shock. Did he just offer us directions? Yes, Commander. Tell them we are invading their system. The communications officer spoke into his station, then listened. Commander. Traffic Control says they heard your first message and are consulting with their government. They apologize for the delay and ask if you need anything while you wait. This was madness. Vrakthor had conquered 3 systems. Every time, defenders had met them with weapons fire, desperate broadcasts, evacuation orders. But Earth responded like he was a tourist asking for directions. Commander. The scanning officer interrupted. I'm detecting a small vessel approaching. Single human freighter. On screen. The view screen showed a battered cargo ship, small enough to fit in the Dominion flagship's landing bay. It was broadcasting on open channels. Zekthar Fleet, this is the independent freighter Dancing Star, Captain He-1 speaking. I'm on approach to your position. May I come alongside? What possible reason? Vrakthor began, then stopped. Allow it. But keep weapons locked. The small ship pulled up next to the flagship. Through the view screen, Vrakthor could see into its tiny bridge. A human woman sat in the pilot's chair. Wearing coveralls and drinking from a mug, she looked completely relaxed. Hi there, Captain He-1 said cheerfully. I was nearby and thought I'd check on you folks. That's a lot of ships you've got. Engine trouble? Need any supplies? We are invading your system, Vrakthor said slowly, carefully, as if speaking to a very stupid child. Captain He-1's smile faded. She set down her mug. Oh no, finally. Finally. A reasonable reaction. But then the captain said something that made Vrakthor's blood run cold. You need to leave. Right now. We are not leaving. We are a fleet of warships. You are one cargo hauler. You cannot. I'm not trying to stop you, He-1 interrupted, and her voice was shaking now. I'm trying to save you. Please turn around and leave. There's still time. Time for what? Before they notice. Before someone sends the signal. Please, I'm begging you. Vrakthor leaned forward. Captain, what are you talking about? Who will notice? He-1's hands were trembling. I can't explain. I can't. But you have to trust me. Leave now. While you still can. We are not leaving. The captain closed her eyes. Then may God have mercy on you. Because they won't. The channel went dead. The small ship turned and accelerated away at maximum speed. Commander, his tactical officer said, I'm detecting unusual activity throughout the system. Human vessels are changing course. They're moving away from us. They're fleeing? Not randomly, Commander. This is coordinated. Like they've rehearsed it. On the view screen, Vrakthor saw it happening. Freighters altered course. Mining ships abandoned their operations. Passenger vessels broke from their routes, all of them moving in the same direction, away from Earth, away from the Zekthar fleet. The lunar colony is activating emergency protocols, the scanning officer reported. Massive shelters are opening beneath the surface. The population is evacuating into them. A drill? No, Commander. This is too organized, too calm. A new transmission came through. This time the voice was female and official. We are sending you a data packet containing our history with others who have threatened our world. Please review it. Please reconsider your actions. We will not. We're sorry, Jiwoo continued, and she sounded like she meant it. We're so sorry. We tried to warn everyone. We tried to make sure the word got out, but you're new to the galactic stage, and you didn't know. We've sent the signal. You have approximately 6 hours. 6 hours until what? Until they arrive. Please, Commander, take your fleet and leave. Don't make us responsible for this. The channel closed. Open it again, Vrakthor demanded. She's not responding, Commander. Vrakthor slammed his fist on the console. What signal? Who is coming? Tactical. Scan for approaching vessels. Nothing on sensors, Commander. Space is clear in all directions. Then what are they afraid of? The data packet from Earth sat waiting in their system. Vrakthor almost didn't open it. Some kind of psychological warfare, probably. Propaganda meant to frighten them. But Captain Hee-won's terrified face stayed in his mind. The way her hands had shaken. That hadn't been an act. Display the data, he ordered. The historical records began to play. Vrakthor read in silence. His officers gathered around, reading over his shoulders. The records went back 3,000 years. Lists of species. Names Vrakthor had never heard before. The Krell Swarm. The Thax Empire. The Unified Predator Clans. Dozens of others. All of them aggressive. All of them powerful in their time. All of them with one thing in common. This can't be right, his intelligence officer whispered. These species don't exist. We have no records of them. According to this, they all threatened Earth, Vrakthor said. And then, they simply disappeared. Completely. As if they never existed. Propaganda. It has to be. But Vrakthor was thinking about the gaps in galactic history, the holes his officer had mentioned, species referenced in passing but never detailed. What if those gaps weren't accidents? What if they were erasures? Commander, the scanning officer said, his voice tight with fear. I'm reading. I don't know what I'm reading. The instruments don't make sense. Explain. There's nothing there. Nothing on any sensor. But I feel. Vrakthor felt it too. Every Zekthar on the bridge felt it. A presence. Something vast and wrong, pressing against the edges of their awareness. How long since Earth sent their signal? Vrakthor asked quietly. 3 hours, Commander. 3 hours. 3 more, until they arrived. Until who arrived? In the cold depths of space, reality itself began to prepare for something it didn't want to allow. 5 hours and 43 minutes after Earth sent the signal, space began to scream. Vrakthor couldn't explain it any other way. No alarms sounded. No sensors detected anything unusual. But every living being on every Zekthar ship felt it in their bones, in their minds, in the deepest part of themselves that still remembered being prey animals on their ancient homeworld. Something was coming. Something wrong. Tactical report, Vrakthor ordered, hating how his voice shook. Nothing on sensors, Commander. Space is clear. But... The tactical officer's hands moved across his console, double-checking readings that made no sense. The instruments are working perfectly. There's nothing there. But there is. I can't explain it better than that. Vrakthor understood exactly what he meant. He had commanded fleets for 20 years. He knew space, knew how it felt, knew its rhythms and patterns. This was different. This was space itself holding its breath. All ships moved to defensive formation, raise shields, charge weapons. The fleet moved into position. 200 warships, enough firepower to conquer a dozen worlds. Vrakthor tried to feel reassured by their strength. He failed. Commander, the communications officer said. Incoming transmission from Earth. Multiple sources, all saying the same thing. Play it. Dozens of voices came through, human voices speaking in urgent tones. Zekthar Fleet, this is Earth Emergency Services. They're arriving. Do not fire. Repeat. Do not fire on them. Any aggression will make this worse. Please, for your own survival, power down your weapons. Power down our weapons? Vrakthor's tactical officer looked horrified. In the face of an unknown threat? Before Vrakthor could respond, space tore open. There was no other way to describe it. Reality itself ripped apart like fabric. Not one tier, but 8 of them, scattered around Earth in a perfect geometric pattern. Through each tier came something that Vrakthor's mind struggled to comprehend. Ships. They were ships, but they were also alive. Vast organic structures that pulsed with something that wasn't quite light, that moved in ways that violated basic physics. They were beautiful and terrible, and looking at them too long made Vrakthor's eyes hurt. Size analysis, he managed to say. Commander. Each vessel is approximately 7 times the mass of our flagship. They're not registering on conventional sensors. I'm only seeing them because they're physically displacing space. The 8 ships hung in space around Earth like guardians. Or wardens. They made no threatening moves, but their mere presence radiated power that made the Zekthar fleet look like children's toys. Receiving transmission, the communications officer said. Source unknown. It's not coming from the ships. It's coming from everywhere. Play it. A voice filled the bridge. It wasn't sound. Not really. It appeared directly in Vrakthor's mind. In the minds of every Zekthar in the fleet. The voice was old, ancient beyond measure. And it was angry. You have entered this space with weapons armed and intent to harm. You have threatened our children. Vrakthor found his voice. Identify yourself. The reply came with a weight that made his legs weak. We are the protectors. We have held this covenant for 50,000 of your years. No harm comes to those under our care. We received no warning of your claim to this system. We make no claim. The humans do not belong to us. We belong to them. That made no sense. Vrakthor looked at his intelligence officer, who was frantically searching through data. Commander, the officer whispered, I found something. Buried in Earth's historical transmissions. A first contact event. 50,000 years ago. Play it. The data showed a primitive Earth long before humans developed civilization. The protectors had arrived then. Ancient even at that time. They had observed early humans with scientific curiosity. Then, something changed. The record showed a small tribe of humans sharing their food with strangers from a rival tribe. It showed humans creating art on cave walls, telling stories around fires. It showed a group of humans staying with a dying elder, comforting him in his last hours, mourning together. The protectors had watched all of this. And they had fallen in love. Not romantic love. Something deeper and more obsessive. They had found a species with emotional complexity and creativity that fascinated them beyond reason. A species that made art, that told stories, that cared for their weak and remembered their dead. The protectors had made a decision that day. Humanity would survive. Humanity would reach the stars. Nothing would stop them. Nothing would harm them. They're insane, Vrakthor whispered. No, his intelligence officer said, still reading. They're devoted. Utterly. Completely devoted. And they've been eliminating threats to Earth for 50,000 years. Another transmission came through, this time from Earth itself. Ambassador Youngsu's voice, tight with desperation. Zekthar Fleet. This is Earth Diplomatic Corps. You must power down all weapons immediately. You must broadcast your complete surrender on all channels. This is your only chance. We surrender to no one, Vrakthor shouted. Then you'll die. Youngsu shouted back. And Vrakthor heard tears in his voice. Please. Please listen to me. We didn't ask for this. We never wanted this. But they love us. And their love is absolute. Surrender now, or they'll erase you from existence itself. One of the protector ships moved. It simply shifted position. A tiny movement. But reality warped around it. One of Vrakthor's vessels, a heavy cruiser at the edge of the formation, suddenly wasn't there anymore. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Simply gone. As if it had never existed. Did anyone see what happened? Vrakthor demanded. Commander, I was watching that ship directly, his tactical officer said, his voice hollow. It was there. And then it wasn't. Our sensors show no weapons discharge, no energy signature. It just stopped being. Crew status? Commander, according to our fleet roster, we have 199 ships. We've always had 199 ships. We had 200. Our computer records say 199. Vrakthor understood then. This was what had happened to all those species in Earth's records. The Krell Swarm, the Thax Empire, all the others. The Protectors hadn't just destroyed them, they had removed them from reality so completely that only the humans remembered they had ever existed, because the humans kept records. Because humans mourned, even their enemies. Another Protector ship moved. Another Zekthar vessel vanished. The fleet roster updated itself to 198 ships. Power down weapons, Vrakthor screamed. All ships. Power down weapons immediately. Broadcast surrender on all channels. His crew scrambled to comply. Throughout the fleet, weapon systems went offline. Shields dropped. 200 warships, no. 198 warships hung defenseless in space before the Protectors. The ancient voice spoke again in Vrakthor's mind. You have frightened our children. You have brought weapons to their home. You have threatened the most precious beings in the universe. We didn't know, Vrakthor said. We didn't understand. Please. We surrender. Completely. We will leave and never return. You will be judged. One of the Protector ships approached Earth itself, descending through the atmosphere. Vrakthor watched on the view screen, saw it hover above what his database identified as Geneva. Saw tiny human figures emerge from buildings far below. What are they doing? He whispered. Ambassador Youngsu's voice came through again, calmer now. They're asking us what should be done with you. They always ask us. They would never act against our wishes. Will you? Will you ask them to spare us? There was a long pause. Then Youngsu said something that made Vrakthor's heart sink. I don't know if we should. Vrakthor waited in the silence of his bridge, while humans decided whether his species would continue to exist. The Protector ships hung motionless in space, patient as monuments. While far below on Earth's surface, humanity debated. Commander, his communications officer said quietly, I'm receiving historical data from Earth. They're sending us their complete records. Of what? Of everyone the Protectors erased. Everyone who threatened Earth and was removed from existence. They want us to understand. The data flooded their systems. Vrakthor read, and with each entry, his horror grew. The Krell swarm had been an empire of 600 billion individuals spread across 40 star systems. They had seen Earth's location as strategically valuable, and planned to relocate humanity to reservation worlds. The Protectors learned of this plan and acted. Now the Krell swarm existed only in Earth's carefully maintained archives. The Thax Empire had been worse. They were conquerors who enslaved other species. When they identified Earth as their next target, the Protectors didn't just erase the Empire's military, they erased the entire species. All 3 trillion Thax, across every world they inhabited. Gone in an instant. But the humans remembered them. The humans had built memorials to species that no one else in the galaxy could recall. They held services for the dead that officially never existed. Why? Vrakthor whispered. Why do they remember? His intelligence officer had found more data. Because they feel guilty, Commander. Look at this. Earth has been trying to convince the Protectors to leave for 200 years, since they achieved spaceflight. The Protectors refuse. The records show decades of human diplomatic efforts. Polite requests that became desperate pleas, humanity begging to be allowed to stand on their own, to face the universe without the Protectors' terrible shield. The Protectors always refused. How could they leave? How could they abandon the most wonderful beings they had ever encountered? Humanity was special. Humanity was precious. Humanity needed protection. They're prisoners. Vrakthor said. The humans are prisoners of beings who love them. A new transmission came through. A young human woman appeared on the view screen. She wore a formal diplomatic uniform and looked exhausted. Commander Vrakthor, I am Ambassador Minji. I'm 26 years old. I've been training for this moment since I was 15. May I come aboard your ship? You want to? To come here? I want to speak with you face to face. With your permission. Vrakthor looked at his officers. They looked back with equal confusion. You may board, but why? Because you deserve to understand what you've stepped into, what we live with every day. An hour later, Ambassador Minji sat in Vrakthor's conference room. She had come alone, in a small shuttle, completely unarmed. She looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with lack of sleep. Thank you for seeing me, she said. I'm sorry this is happening. We tried to warn everyone. We tried to make sure all new species understood. But you rose to power so quickly. Well, Problemance, your Protectors killed 2 of my ships, Vrakthor said. Erased them from existence. I know, and I'm sorry. We're always sorry. Minji pulled out a small data tablet. Do you know what this is? It's the Memorial Archive. Every human child studies it in school. We memorize the names of species that the Protectors erased. We learn their histories, their cultures, their accomplishments. We make sure someone remembers them. Why? Because we have to. Minji's voice cracked. Because we're the only ones who can. The Protectors don't understand what they're doing. To them, protecting us is the most natural thing in the universe. They can't comprehend why we would want them to stop. She activated the tablet. Holographic images appeared, showing the Protectors' first contact with humanity 50,000 years ago. They found us when we were nearly extinct, Minji explained. An ice age was ending. Humans numbered maybe 10,000 individuals worldwide. The Protectors were studying primitive species, just scientific observation. But then they saw something that changed them. The images showed early humans. A small tribe sharing their last food with a neighboring group facing starvation. A young woman creating art on a cave wall, her face intense with concentration. An old man dying, surrounded by his family. Each person touching him gently, singing to him. They had never seen anything like us, Minji continued. Other species had intelligence, had civilization. But we had something else. Empathy that extended beyond our immediate group, creativity for its own sake. Not just for survival. The capacity to grieve for the dead, to remember them, to honor them. To the Protectors, who are ancient and cold and logical, we were beautiful. The images showed protectors watching humans for years, centuries, seeing humans develop language, art, music, stories, seeing them comfort each other, celebrate together, mourn together. They fell in love with us, Minji said. Not as equals. As someone might love a precious child. They decided we were too wonderful to lose. They made a covenant among themselves. Humanity would survive. Humanity would reach the stars. Nothing would stop us. And they've been eliminating threats ever since, for 50,000 years. We didn't even know about it until we developed radio. Then we started receiving their messages. We protected you from the Xath invasion. We removed the Kolvar threat. We erased the Bren Armada. Dozens of species we never knew existed, gone because they might have hurt us. Vrakthor leaned forward. Minji's laugh was bitter. Because they love us. How do you convince someone who loves you that their protection is killing you? We've tried everything. Logical arguments, emotional appeals, we've begged them, nothing works. They look at us with those ancient, incomprehensible minds and say, "But you are precious. You must be protected, so you're trapped." Yes. We have the most powerful protectors in the galaxy, and we would give anything to be free of them. Minji wiped her eyes. Do you know what our strategy is now? Our long-term plan? Tell me. We're trying to become perfect. If we can prove to them that we're responsible enough, wise enough, strong enough, maybe they'll trust us to survive on our own. That's why every human child studies diplomacy. Why we train as mediators, as bridge builders between species. We're trying to earn their trust. We're trying to become worthy of their departure. How long have you been trying? 200 years. It's not working. Vrakthor sat back in his chair. He thought about his people's ambitions, their pride in conquest. How small it all seemed now. What will happen to us? He asked. That's why I'm here. The protectors are asking us to decide. They always ask. They would never act against our wishes. Minji looked directly at him. Commander, I need you to understand something. We could tell them to erase your entire species. All of you. Gone. With no one but us to remember you existed. And they would do it without hesitation because we asked. The room was silent. But we won't, Minji continued. Because we're not them. We don't believe in erasing species, no matter what they've done. We believe in mercy, in second chances, in the possibility of change. So we will live if you convince me that you understand, that you'll leave and never threaten anyone again, that you'll spread the word to other aggressive species about what happened here. Minji leaned forward. Can you do that, Commander? Can you help us protect the galaxy from our protectors? Vrakthor understood then. The terrible irony of Earth's position. Humanity was trying to save the galaxy from beings who would destroy anyone to save humanity. Yes, he said. I can do that. 3 days later, the Zeek-Thar fleet remained in Sol System. But everything had changed. The ships hung in space with weapons permanently disabled. Their crews undergoing what Ambassador Minji called educational sessions. Vrakthor had attended every single one. Human teachers, many of them young like Minji, came aboard the Zekthar vessels and told stories. Stories of species the protectors had erased. Stories of humanity's guilt and grief. Stories of a species trapped in a cage built from love. Vrakthor learned about the Vareth Confederacy, peaceful traders who had accidentally strayed too close to Earth during an early human space expedition. A Vareth ship malfunctioned and crashed on Earth's moon. 3 humans died trying to rescue the Vareth crew. The protectors saw this as an attack on humanity and erased the entire Confederacy. 70 billion beings gone. The humans held memorial services for both the 3 human rescuers and the 70 billion Vareth. They built monuments. They remembered. He learned about the Kiix Collective, who had sent Earth a message that human linguists misinterpreted as threatening. Before the error could be corrected, the protectors acted. The Keyx vanished. Humanity had been trying to develop better translation protocols ever since, desperate to prevent misunderstandings that might trigger their guardians. On the fourth day, Minji brought Vrakthor to Earth itself. They stood in Geneva, in a building called the Memorial Hall. The walls were covered with names. Millions of them. Billions. Every species the protectors erased, Minji explained. Every individual we could identify from recovered records. We add to it constantly. It's our sacred duty to remember. An elderly human approached them. He moved slowly, leaning on a cane. Minji bowed respectfully. Commander Vrakthor. This is Counselor Hyunwoo. He was present the last time the protectors acted. 30 years ago. Hyunwoo's eyes were distant, haunted. The Krellin Union. They were explorers, not conquerors. They sent a probe to map Sol System. Just a probe. No weapons, no crew. The protectors detected it and assumed hostile intent. He paused. 40 billion Krellin. Gone, in seconds. I was in the council chamber when we felt it happen, when reality itself rewrote to pretend they had never existed. But you remember them, Vrakthor said. We remember everyone. It's the least we can do. The very least. Hyunwoo looked at Vrakthor with those haunted eyes. Do you understand now why we tried to warn you? Why we begged you to leave? I do. And do you understand why we must be perfect? Why every human child trains in diplomacy, in conflict resolution, in making peace? We're trying to save the galaxy from beings who would destroy it to protect us. Vrakthor nodded slowly. You're trying to become worthy of freedom. We're trying to become trustworthy enough that they'll let us stand alone. 200 years, and we're not there yet. Hyunwoo's hand shook on his cane. Sometimes I wonder if we'll ever be free. Or if humanity's destiny is to be the cherished pets of incomprehensible gods. Later, Minji took Vrakthor to the observation deck where human diplomats were in communication with the protectors. He watched as they argued, pleaded, negotiated for the Zekthar's survival. They're asking to spare all of you, Minji explained. Not just you personally, your entire species. The protectors wanted to erase every Zekthar as a precaution. They don't see it as genocide. They see it as removing a threat to us. And you're stopping them. We're trying. This is what we do, Commander. Every time an aggressive species appears, every time someone might threaten us, we have to intervene. We have to convince the protectors that mercy is better than erasure, that rehabilitation is possible, that the galaxy is richer with diversity, even dangerous diversity. The better contexts. Why? Vrakthor asked. Why protect species that would harm you? Minji smiled sadly. Because if we don't, who will? The protectors love us, but they don't understand life like we do. They don't value other species the way we do. If we let them erase everyone who frightens them, eventually we'd be alone in a dead galaxy, surrounded by beings who think they saved us. A human diplomat approached, looking exhausted. Ambassador Minji. The protectors have agreed. The Zekthar will be spared. All of them. But they have conditions. What conditions? The Zekthar must dismantle their military fleet. They must submit to galactic oversight. And Commander Vrakthor must return to the Council and explain what happened here. Vrakthor felt relief flood through him. His species would survive. But at the cost of everything they had built, everything they had conquered. I accept, he said. There's more, the diplomat continued. The protectors want the Zekthar to become what they call Watchers. Species who know the truth and help spread the warning. Help keep others away from Earth. We will do this, Vrakthor said. Gladly. Minji touched his arm gently. Thank you. You're helping us more than you know. Every species that learns the truth without triggering the protectors That's one less potential erasure we have to prevent. Weeks later, Vrakthor stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was full now. Everyone had come to hear what happened to the Zekthar fleet that had approached Earth. He told them everything. About the Protectors. About humanity's burden. About the Memorial Archive and the billions who existed now only in human memory. He told them about humanity's desperate attempt to earn freedom through perfection, through becoming the galaxy's mediators and bridge builders. When he finished, the chamber was silent. Finally, Counselor Minjun spoke. This information will be classified at the highest level and shared only with species deemed ready to understand. Why classify it? Someone asked. Because if too many know, if the fear spreads, someone will eventually attempt a preemptive strike on Earth, and the Protectors will respond. We could lose half the galaxy in a single day. The Council voted. Earth would be designated a protected zone. Not because of human military strength, because approaching Earth might trigger ancient beings who would erase aggressors so completely that reality itself forgot they existed. After the session, Vrakthor found Minji in one of the Council's gardens. She was sitting alone, looking at Earth through the observation window. Your people saved my species, he said, sitting beside her. We saved our own consciences, she replied. We couldn't live. With billions more deaths on our hands. Do you think they'll ever leave? The Protectors? Minji was quiet for a long time. I don't know. We keep trying. Keep proving ourselves. Keep being better, kinder, wiser. Maybe one day they'll look at us and see not children who need protection, but adults who've earned their freedom. And if that day never comes, then we keep being who we are anyway. Because that's what humans do. We hope even when hope is foolish. We try, even when trying seems pointless. We choose to be better not because it guarantees freedom, but because being better is its own reward. She pulled out her data tablet and added 2 entries to the Memorial Archive. 2 Zekthar ships. Hundreds of crew members. Names that she would make sure humanity never forgot. I'm sorry about your people, she said softly. The ones who were erased. We'll remember them. I promise. Vrakthor watched Earth turning slowly in the window. That beautiful blue world. Humanity's precious home. A paradise that was also a prison. Guarded by beings whose love was absolute and terrible. Your species is stronger than you know, he said. Not because of your Protectors. In spite of them. Minji smiled. In orbit above them, the Protector ships waited in their geometric pattern. Always watching. Always vigilant. Always ready to defend the beings they loved from a universe they deemed too dangerous. And on Earth below, human children studied diplomacy and conflict resolution, and the names of forgotten species. They learned to be bridges between hostile peoples. They practiced mercy and patience, and the difficult art of making peace. They carried the weight of unwanted salvation, the burden of love that had become a cage. And still, they chose to be kind, to be wise, to be better, because one day, maybe, if they were perfect enough, patient enough, worthy enough, the beings who loved them might finally trust them to face the universe alone. And until that day came, humanity would continue protecting the galaxy from their Protectors. One saved species at a time. In Minji's journal that night, she wrote a single line. We saved ourselves from extinction only to lose our freedom. Now we must be better than we ever imagined, so that one day, we might finally be trusted to face the universe alone. It is the longest, hardest road, but we walk it anyway, because we are human, and hope is what we do.